California dreaming about you.
Hey guys, SimCoder here, and today we are going to learn how we can take a picture using our preview that we implemented in the last lesson. So yeah, let's get right into it. It will be a short one because we are only going to take a picture. We are not going to display it. We will leave it for the next lesson. So yeah, let's open up our Android project, and I'm on my camera fragment. And if you haven't implemented the preview, the camera preview, please do go into the last lesson. And one more thing that I want to point out is that some of you asked why I'm not using the Camera 2 API, why I'm using the deprecated version, which is the older version of the camera API. And the reason is because the camera API does basically everything that I want it to do, and it is much more simple because it doesn't have a lot of things that you can change. But if you want to use the Camera 2 API, you are more than welcome to. The things that you can do is basically apply filters and do stuff like that much more easily in the future, but the code in itself, it's much more complex. I don't know if in the end of the series maybe I'll implement the Camera 2 and change this to Camera 2 so that those of you that want to apply filters and stuff like that are able to. But for now, I'm going to leave it as simple as possible, and so I'm only going to use the camera until the end, and maybe then we'll use the Camera 2. So now let's get right on with the coding. Let's go into the fragment camera and add a capture button. So we can go inside here, say, and actually you can copy this one right here so we can save up on typing some stuff. So let's call it capture. The text can be captured as well. And now let's set the gravity to bottom. And the width to match parent. Now, as you can see, it isn't gravity, it is layout gravity, because gravity only applies to what's inside of the button. So layout gravity, it pushes the button to the bottom, and it is exactly what we need. So now let's go inside our capture Java page, and let's add another button. So yeah, let's change this to mCapture. Capture and capture. Okay, so now let's do the set on click listener and get that over and done with. New on click listener. Okay, so now we are going to actually start working on the capturing code. So we'll call a function here so that it becomes more easy on the eye for you guys. So capture image, let's create this function right here. So click Alt, Enter, Enter, and it will create the method for you, which is quite useful. And now we can actually start writing the code. So the only variable that we'll need is a new one, and I'm going to place it right here, and it is called camera dot picture callback JPEG callback. Let's call it that. And you might notice that the picture callback is like scratched, and that's because the camera API is deprecated, as I've said previously, but that's nothing to worry about. It will work just fine. So now we go inside our capture image function and we simply type camera without a capital C, and up top in here it is with a capital C. Don't forget about that, it is important. And we say simply take picture. The first the first variable will be null, which is for the shutter speed. The second one will be null as well, which is for the raw. And the third one is the callback that we want. In this case, it will be the JPEG callback, which we'll write in a second. So now we go up here to the, and I'm going to collapse this so that it becomes nice and pretty, okay? And we are going to create our JPEG callback, which will receive the picture from the take picture function. JPEG callback equals to new camera dot picture callback, and now we say on picture taken, and there we go. This will contain all the information that we need to show in order to show it to the user or to send it to another user. And you get the information from these bytes right here. That's exactly what we want. And from this variable right here, we'll be able to construct a picture for the user. And actually, I was thinking, and we might do the show picture right now, so that, yeah, because it is kind of short, this lesson, taking a picture is really simple. So let's do it right now. Let's go into project and let's create a new activity which will contain the image. It will only serve that purpose. So empty activity, and let's call it show capture activity. Okay, and we can add it to the Git, no problems there. And now the only thing that the layout will have is quite simply an image view, I'm sorry. And yeah, it will have an image view that will show everything in your layouts. I'm going to collapse this, otherwise it will be hard to see. And later on, when we want to send the image, we'll use this activity and have a button here where the user might choose to whom he wants to send the picture. But for now, this is more than enough. Let's say scale type fit X and Y, and ID image capture. Call it that. And it is fit X and Y because if you choose the scale type, it will try to make the image as big as the screen, and so that's exactly what we want. Okay, so let me just make this, no, it can't stay like this. Okay, now let's go into show camera activity, and actually before that we can call the activity from here. So we are going to call the show capture activity right after the image is taken, and we because that's when we get the bytes and we can actually get the image. So let's simply say intent, as we always do, new equals to new intent, get activity, send show capture activity dot this. Okay, now we place this extra inside the intent, and the reason for that is that this is one of the best ways to move variables between activities, and we are going to simply pass this bytes activity into the show capture activity. So let's call it capture and bytes. and in here it isn't .this, it is .class. Sorry about that. So now we can simply start the activity by saying start activity intent and placing a return at the end. Okay, so that's done. We are sending the bytes to the ShowCapture activity. And so now in the ShowCapture activity, we can start constructing the image into a bitmap. That way we can show it in our image view. So we must take some steps in order to make that happen. But the first of all, we must, and the first thing that we have to get done with is to get the bytes that we sent from the camera fragment. Okay, so that's the most important thing, because otherwise we won't be able to do anything. So bundle extras equals to get intent dot get extras. And now we say bytes, open up the bracket there, and can call it B or whatever. Say extras dot get byte array capture. And so with just these 2 lines of code, it successfully moved a variable from one activity, in this case the main activity within the camera fragment within the main activity, to the ShowCapture activity. So yeah, and it says it has a null, it needs this null because something might happen where you send something that's null, and so this just checks for that case. But it isn't important, it is just to get rid of the yellow underline. So yeah, we can move on and say image view. And actually before that I'm going to place another if just to make sure it isn't null again. If be different from null. You should always do this in order to avoid having applications stop and crashing. So that doesn't look good at all. So we can say find view by ID r.id.image captured, and this is just to get the image view that we created inside here. And now we are going to start working with the bytes that we have. So in order to get the bytes into how can you say it, into a bitmap. So now we are going to simply pass the byte into a bitmap as I've said, and then we'll have to do some tricks in order to fix a problem. So decode bitmap equals to bitmap factory dot decode byte array, and we simply pass the B0 and B length. Okay, and this now we already have a bitmap, but we have to try to do some things. And yeah, let's try to, because the problem is that the image that's captured is rotated 19 degrees, even though in here we set the rotation to 90 degrees. So we must rotate it again in order to fix the screen, otherwise the image will be distorted. And even after that, and that part I will leave to another video, we must fix it to make it view like nice on the eye. And because if you don't fix a size and an orientation, the image will itself be distorted. It will be there, but it will be completely distorted, so we must fix that. And actually, let me just run the app like this, with this bitmap, so that you can understand exactly what I'm talking about. So image dot set image bitmap, and let's say decoded bitmap. Okay, and I'm just going to run the app like this, and hopefully you'll understand exactly where I'm coming from. Okay, so I have my phone here, and as you can see, it all is working fine. But when we capture, the image appears all distorted and stretched out and rotated. That's what I was talking about. And we have to fix this, and it is kind of more complicated because we have to set a screen and we have to find the best size for this image. So yeah, let's try and fix this. It will be a bit different and a bit harder to explain, but let's try. So, and the first thing that we are going to do is to rotate the image. And after rotating the image, I'm going to show you again my phone, and I'll show you why the image isn't perfect even after rotating the image. So let's go inside our code, ShowCaptureActivity. And now let's, okay. We can pass this to the end. We'll write the code in here. And now we'll just call a function and in the meantime create another bitmap, and we'll call it rotate bitmap. And we'll call a function called rotate, and we'll create it in a second, and pass in the variable decoded bitmap. Okay, and let's just click Alt Enter, Enter, and it will create the function for us. And now we'll just rotate it. It is extremely easy, and at the end we'll add the return, so don't worry about this underline right here. So all you have to do is to get first the width and the height of the bitmap equals bitmap decoded bitmap dot get width and int h decoded bitmap dot get height. Okay, now we'll create a new matrix which will help us rotate everything, and you'll see in a second how that works. So matrix equals to new matrix, and this matrix will allow us to say by how much we want to rotate the image. That's basically it. So matrix dot set rotate 90. Okay, and then we simply return the new bitmap, which will be bitmap dot create bitmap, and we'll pass on the decoded bitmap, which is the thing that we want to rotate. We'll say 0, 0 for the coordinates where they begin, and then we pass on the width, the height, and finally the matrix, which will tell us the rotation, and at last true. Okay, so that's it, and now we have our rotated bitmap. Let's just paste it here in the image, and let's try and run the app now to see what the final problem that we must resolve is. So let's do it right now. We'll run the app, and as you can see, you can take the picture and the image is rotated. The problem is that it is all stretched out, and we must fix that, and it is kind of tricky to do that, but let's try and do it ourselves. So the problem is not with this activity. The problem is that at the moment of taking the picture, so we must go into camera fragment, and in here we have to find what's the best size for our camera. And it took me quite some time to find an answer to this, because it is really specific to the camera, and so yeah, but let's try and fix it. So we say camera.size best size equals to null. Okay, And now we get the list of the supported preview sizes for this camera. So we say camera size dot size list camera dot size size list equals to camera dot get parameters dot get supported preview sizes. Okay, and now we simply say best size dot size list equals size list dot get 0. And now we are going to loop through this list, and we'll try to find if this list matches our best size possible. So to make it as big as possible to match our screen. And so let's just do a loop here for int I equals to 1 and I smaller than size list dot length dot size actually, and I plus plus. So now we can simply do an if, a simple if, which says, and parentheses again, if size list dot get I dot width times, and we can copy this, size list dot get I dot height. Okay, and why isn't it dot height? Okay, is bigger than best size dot width times best size dot height. Then we go ahead and say best size equals to the size list, this size list that's bigger than our best size. So yeah, size list dot get I. Okay, and that's it. It is kind of hard to understand, but this basically gets all the supported preview sizes and finds the biggest one that we can get. Because we are using the full screen in our phone, we must get the biggest preview size possible to match our screen. So let's try and set this preview size. So we can simply go below and say parameters dot set preview size and say best size dot width and best size dot height. Now let's run the app and see if this looks better than before. So let's do it. Okay, so here we are. Let's take a picture. And there we go. The image is perfect. It is stretched to the right size. It is completely fine. So yeah, I mean, now there's nothing left to do within the camera. And so yeah, we can move on to sending pictures. And the first type of sending that we'll do is sending to the history, so the story. That way it is easier because we only have to deal with placing our image in our feed, and then the people that follow us are the ones that are going to try and find our picture and not the other way around. So yeah, let's try and do that. It will be kind of tricky because we must set the time and the image will expire within a day. So yeah, but it will be extremely interesting. So yeah, let's do it. I hope you are liking the series. If you are, then please do leave a like and subscribe. I'm currently working on some cool projects that I'll show you guys in a quick second. So yeah, hope to see you again tomorrow, and ciao.